Hey everybody, how you doing? And wait a second. Okay, that's fine. Hey, we're live, I believe. Yeah, it says go live, and we will go that. Okay, so everybody, we're live. How are you doing? I hope you're well. I want to make absolutely certain that we're live as I'm speaking before I continue. And I need to tweet out this because we got an unexpected uh, outcome here with respect to the title. It says we're live, and make sure that we are indeed live, and it doesn't show that we're live. This is what one goes through with YouTube now. It's like, hey, are we live or are we not? Okay, so it says that we're live. I will do this like this. I'll go on YouTube and make sure that, yep, it says we're live. It doesn't come up on, it's slow today. There's something wrong with the YouTube algorithm, folks. And it's not immediately posting video availability. So for whatever reason, but nonetheless, we press forward. Yeah, I hope you're doing well. Saints, it's been a while since I've talked about the Saints, and but I always plan to continue the vlogs, both critical and in praise of, because I consider myself a fan of the NFL and the Saints and all the other teams. And yes, Jameis Winston is with the Cleveland Browns, and I made videos about, or two videos about that. But there's a little unfinished business with the Saints, shall we say, right? And it has to do with this new look offense that's being installed by Klint with a K Kubiak, the son of the legendary Gary Kubiak, whose contributions to the NFL, both as a quarterback with the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos, coach with the Denver Broncos, and now bringing his son into the league. And of course, the work that Kubiak did with Gary Sr. did with the Minnesota Vikings is notable before his retirement, and so on. So there's a lot to talk about here, but I'm not going to have you deal with too much information, just the appropriate amount. And I believe it's very important to start off with the simple fact that we're talking about in Klint Kubiak, a person who has come up with not just his father's thinking about offensive football and football in general, but also people who were friends of his father, like the once San Francisco 49er quarterback, Bill Musgrave. It was Bill Musgrave that, under which the great Klint Kubiak, and I want to say that because I believe that's what's going to happen with him, got his first job in coaching quarterbacks. He then went to the Vikings and as a passing game coordinator, and then returned to the same organization, and eventually wound up. He was with Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos for that 1 year that they didn't do well, and then he went to the 49ers in the role of passing game coordinator. So this is his first job, Klint Kubiak, as full-on offensive coordinator, although he's had a number of jobs as offensive coordinator. And so what we're going to do here is look at the offense that he's installing and emphasize how different it is from Pete Carmichael's offense, and then show you a bit of a surprise. I think you'll like. What I'm doing right now is making absolutely certain that this algorithm is adjusted because it's not behaving properly, and want to make sure that it does behave properly so that it can get out there and be seen. Right, that's quite important. So making some adjustments here and here and here. And normally the adjustments I make are automatic. And okay, so we're done saving that. I believe the other adjustment had already been set, and that has been. Okay, so we're fine there. All right, now let's talk football and Klint Kubiak, this man right here, and what he's installing. Klint Kubiak is installing what will be the Saints' first true Bill Walsh influenced West Coast offense, or if you like Bill Walsh offense, or if you like really the offense that his father, Mike Shanahan, brought into the league, which is really Bill Walsh's offense with some zone blocking sprinkled in considerably, okay? And it's that zone blocking scheme and the Kubiak's use of it and learning it from Mike Shanahan and his son Kyle Shanahan, which are more than outlined but discussed in depth in a personal way in Mike Silver's new book, which is due out officially October of this year. But right now, we're taking a deep dive, or a semi-deep dive, into Klint Kubiak's offense. Now, first of all, if you remember the Pete Carmichael offense in the Saints offense, I said that when Pete Carmichael was the offensive coordinator under Sean Payton, who installed the offense, they were really running a West Coast offense. And if you take a look at Sean Payton's history, going back to the Giants at the turn of this century, his was a variant of the Bill Walsh offense, although Sean Payton does not have direct ties to Bill Walsh from a perspective of having coached for Bill Walsh, which is really the ultimate tie-in. But he was influenced by Walsh, and from that point, really built his own ball control offense with the Giants, which was very successful when he was offensive coordinator. He brought that to the New Orleans Saints, and Pete Carmichael was, well, the driver. He was the engineer of the offense on a daily basis. He was like your Scotty in Star Trek, where Scotty is charged with minding the warp engines, right? But the warp engines were designed by the people that actually developed and built the Enterprise. Okay, so Sean Payton actually developed and built the offense. Pete Carmichael was the Scotty, the offensive coordinator that made adjustments to the base with the approval of Sean Payton. Now, so then Sean Payton is gone, and it's left to Pete Carmichael. And you fast forward to last year, 2023, where you had, for the first time, Derek Carr and Jameis Winston and Jake Haener, who was their 4th-round draft pick from the year before. And so, so what we found was that Derek Carr initially struggled in the offense, and Pete Carmichael did something really interesting to make it easy for him. He gave Derek Carr easy reads throwing to one receiver, which worked some of the time, but on crucial episodes, it didn't work well at all. Remember that pass that Derek Carr was complaining about where he overthrew Chris Olave? Well, it wasn't supposed to go to Chris Olave. It was supposed to go to Adam Troutman on the underneath. And the idea was that Olave was supposed to clear out for Troutman. Well, that concept is more Tom Landry than Bill Walsh. In the Bill Walsh system, Chris Olave would have been the number 1 receiver, and then Troutman and the clear out would have been, taking advantage of the clear out would have been a number 2. All right. Derek realized he overthrew Olave, and rather than make a mistake, started yelling at Chris. What I believe was going through Derek's head was he actually thought that Olave was supposed to be the guy who was catching the ball, a la what Derek Carr learned, his muscle memory from playing for John Gruden, who is a disciple of the West Coast offense as taught to him by the Green Bay Packers coach when Gruden was active, and the Packers coach was had given birth, if you will, if you want to put it that way, to a number of great assistants, including Andy Reid, in John Gruden, and I believe Steve Mariucci, and others, right? And so when you think of Reid's background, for example, you got to go back to the Green Bay Packers and what he did under Mike Holmgren. And Mike Holmgren was the famed offensive coordinator who had come over from the San Francisco 49ers as offensive coordinator and believed that he should have been head coach. And really, Mike Holmgren was right. He should have been head coach with the Niners, but wasn't. But the Packers decided to hire him, and it was a great decision because Mike Holmgren clearly learned a great deal coaching with George Seifert, with Bill Walsh as the consultant, and the people in the 49ers office who gave birth to the Bill Walsh offense, which we now call the West Coast offense. All right. So now Klint Kubiak learned from that group. And it's a different group because the offense that this man is installing actually has the primary receiver sometimes going deep in the secondary and tertiary. In other words, true multiple option reads. He's not asking you to read he's not asking you to throw to one receiver and for everybody else to clear out. That's not what he's asking. John Gruden has some plays like that, I might add. But what is the general objective is to not leave the quarterback stuck throwing to one person. That's the idea. Pete Carmichael didn't exhibit that idea, but Klint Kubiak will. Okay, that's a really very important point to remember about what Klint Kubiak is doing. His offense will produce multiple options for the quarterback, but there's a fundamental difference between what Pete Carmichael has asked his quarterbacks to do in Derek Carr and what Klint Kubiak will ask his charges to do. And that is called simply movement. This is from the Falcons playbook as it was used and installed by Kyle Shanahan in 2015, not too long ago. And these are the kind of plays that Klint Kubiak is installing and will be using almost to the letter. Okay? Klint Kubiak has said that his offense will consist of movement. And this is what you're looking at. These are movement plays. Movement means simply that if you take a look at the quarterback, he goes to fake a handoff and then he rolls this way. All right? In this case, the primary receiver here is number one, and that receiver has an option. If he's getting close coverage, he takes off on the fly. If not, he goes back and runs a standard pattern. But look, we have the tight end going as if he's going to block for this fake, right? But then he comes back here. He should be wide open because even if the defender, let's say the strong safety, because we expect the free safety to go here, the strong safety goes here. Then he reverts back, and then his receiver's going in this direction. That creates havoc for a defender. So it's plays like this, very exciting in their development, that we should expect to see from the Saints under Kubiak. Now you would say, okay, that's great, Zenny, but what's the weakness here? And I would say that's a very good question. And let's zoom in on that so I can give you a better idea of what that weakness is. And that weakness, if you take a look at this play, for example, all right, right here, if you take a look, if you consider, let's say they're playing against a three-man front. Inside linebacker, nose tackle, inside linebacker, nose tackle, end over here, all right? Outside linebacker, strong safety, and then free safety, right? So that leaves us with a weak side linebacker here. Well, the weak side linebacker could be assigned on a weak side blitz or dog, knowing that if the linebacker comes in, really has to wait at this angle, and Carr fakes and then comes over, fakes strong side, and then runs back weak side, boom, he'll get sacked. Okay, he'll get sacked. So the weakness of this play is that you're really banking on the idea that the weak side linebacker is not going to blitz. Now, you would say, hey, Zinni, they got the flanker coming over here, right, on motion, and when it comes over on motion here, he comes off on the late block this way. That's correct. But look at the angle. See, that's the problem. You see, when the ball is snapped, the flanker will be here. The weak side linebacker's here. So when the ball is snapped, the weak side linebacker will come and be here. By the time the weak side, flanker gets over here, the weak side linebacker will be well on his way to a sack. All right. And so that's the weakness of this play. So the beauty of what is being installed is that the Saints have never ran it before, and you don't know exactly when they're going to use it. I have a basic idea. It will be when the Saints are on their side of the field rather than the opponents, because this is considered a ball control approach. This was used on a number of occasions by Shanahan and a number of other organizations who, there was a time even when the Falcons, under Arthur Smith, for example, became movement happy with their quarterbacks. But expect to see the Saints use this on their side of the ball. But don't be surprised if you get, as an answer by the defense, weak side linebacker blitzes, offset defensive setups where the end is way out wide, but then has a companion tackle who's wider. We call it wide tackle 6. Approaches like that. So it's a danger. It is very much a danger. But that will be the fundamental difference, aside from the true application of the Bill Walsh system of multiple choice receivers, from what was done under the P. Carmichael regime for Derek Carr. Now, if you're saying, hey, look, a Jake Hayner or a Spencer Rattler can perform this kind of offense in this kind of offense better, I would say I agree with you, because, again, Derek Carr is not known as a movement quarterback, and, let's face it, he's competing against some younger charges. So we're going to have to see, how all this plays out. If opposing defensive coordinators choose to blitz from the edges, it's going to be a long day for the Saints. But the bright side is that some of their big plays will come from play action, off the run. Many of these plays will be of the wide open variety. And did you see that? That will make Saints fans happy. I'll see you all later. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark NFL News, our new website that I'm really proud of, and it's called right here, NFL News by Zenny62.com. You can see the story is Cleveland Brown training camp storylines that no one is talking about. Check it out. Check it out. We've got not only that, these are automatic YouTube entry-based news feeds, okay? 10 underrated Dallas Cowboys training camp battles. And then there's 2024 NFL training camp SZN, whose value will rise and fall. All on NFL News by Zenny62.com. All right, and that ends this broadcast. Please like and share. See you later.